Hi, I'm Larry Gifford. I have Parkinson's disease. Each Wednesday in April, we'll be releasing an episode featuring new interviews and never-before-heard bits of interviews that I've collected over the past 2 seasons. From people with Parkinson's and their advocacy to the leaders of the Parkinson's organizations around the world that we're counting on to support us in our journeys and help drive research for new treatment options. These are the keepers of hope, the difference makers, the believers. They know you can lead a great life today with Parkinson's and that tomorrow, no matter how far in the future that may be, we can all live lives without Parkinson's. Today I'm talking to Dave Clark. Dave is a television presenter for Sky TV Sports from Leeds, England. He's best known for anchoring darts and boxing coverage. His positivity is infectious. He was diagnosed with Parkinson's in 2011, but 10 years on, he's still broadcasting, has a great attitude, is raising tons of money and attention for the cause. Later this year, he'll walk the length of Hadrian's Wall and climb Mount Everest to the base camp at 17,000 feet to raise funds for Parkinson's UK. He's already generated £500,000 towards the charity's work, and he recently announced he'll be donating his brain to medical science to help find a cure for Parkinson's. The first time Dave and I chatted was late summer of 2019. Hello, Dave. Let's listen back.
Hey, Larry, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. How about yourself?
Yeah, not bad, thanks.
I don't know if you've listened to the podcast at all.
I've listened to every single one. I think it's brilliant.
Oh.
Really inspiring and great. And nice to know other people are in the same position and worried about the same things and thriving as well. It's good to hear, you know.
Oh, well, that's very kind. I'm honored that you've listened.
I know most of the people you've spoken to, you know, via social media and stuff. So it's really fascinating to hear them, you know.
And everybody's got their own story, but it's familiar enough that you're like, okay, I'm not alone in this. Good, I'm not crazy.
Yeah, exactly. I heard, you know, Matt Eagles. I heard him on the radio the other day here.
Oh yeah.
And he was saying. He was diagnosed when he was 7, and he thought for 25 years he was the only person with Parkinson's because he didn't know anybody else with it until social media came along. And suddenly he met loads of other people and knew he wasn't alone, which was a great feeling for him. Incredible, you know. Isn't
social media amazing?
Well, it can be a force for good. And with us, it's brilliant because it brings people together, like-minded people. But I have problems with it as well. I was doing the World Darts Championship in North London, a big event on television over Christmas, and working really hard, working long hours. I was starting early in the afternoon, working through till midnight, travelling home. So it took its toll on me. And towards the end of the tournament, a bookmaker put on social media, Dave Clark looks like he's caught a whiff of something nasty and wants to murder the person who caused it. So with a picture of me looking a bit dishevelled, you know. So I thought, I'm not having that. Ridiculous. Somebody in an office in London somewhere just writing that. So I said, I took a snapshot of the tweet and said, that'll be the chronic degenerative neurological condition that eventually robbed me of the ability to walk, talk and smile. #Parkinson's. And the whole thing went wild.
Wow.
More than 2 million people saw the tweet. And England footballers were getting involved. Alan Shearer. He wrote one saying, wow, 2 people tweeting, one a gentleman who inspires us all, the other a prat on a keyboard looking for a cheap laugh. I know I stand by. You're an inspiration, Dave. Keep doing what you're doing and making everyone proud. And it was incredible. It really annoyed me because they used to sponsor the tournament. And I went public. I kept it a secret, my Parkinson's, for 2.5 years. There's a big debate going on about whether you come straight out and tell people or whether you wait a while. And I took my time because it's quite frightening, you know. You think you're going to lose your job. You think you're going to be labelled disabled. And I'm not saying one thing's right and one thing's wrong. Some people, I know you came out quite quickly and told people you had it. But I was worried about it. And I thought I'd lose my job. And I was really frightened.
Yeah, I'll tell you, Dave, I was frightened too. It's scary because, especially for us as broadcasters, you know, losing my voice is probably the scariest proposition I'm looking at because that's all I know what to do.
Yeah, exactly. The plan B. You want to carry on doing it as long as you can.
Right.
But the reason I came out in the end was I was 2.5 years in. I was doing a world championship fight. I was presenting the boxing in Glasgow. And the on-air clock was ticking down, and I was trying to get my cufflinks on, and I couldn't get my cufflinks on. And I could hear people going, "Where's Dave? Where's Dave? Get him on set. Get him there now." and trying to do my tie-up, and I was hiding in a cupboard. It was ridiculous. Hiding in a cupboard, trying to do my tie-up, trying to do my buttons up. And I couldn't tell anybody. I couldn't ask anybody for help because no one knew I had Parkinson's. So it was just a scary moment. I got on set, cameras on me, live at the top of the show, and nailed the top of the show. Got all my words right, brilliant. But it really took it out of me. And the next day, I got home, and my wife is actually a doctor of clinical psychology, so I'm a bit of a case study for her. So she said, "You've got to go public. You've got to do something about it and tell people because it's getting ridiculous. It's taking its toll on you." At the time, I was presenting on Sky Sports News, a 24-hour news channel. I was doing boxing. I was doing darts and snooker as well. So I was putting work first. Now, I was on the road 123 days a year, and it was crazy.
Wow.
I was exhausted. And so I went public. I wrote an article in the Daily Mail newspaper, and it is incredible. The more people read it, the higher it goes up the web page.
Yeah.
And it got to number 2. And I got 60,000 messages of support. It's amazing.
Oh. Did you sit down and read them all?
I did actually, yeah. I went through every single one over a 3-week period. And it was incredible. You know, people in the same situation, people who just said my word. And I inspired a lot of people. But it was really emotional at the same time. And I wasn't ready for that. I went to the dentist the other day. I hadn't told my dentist that I'd got Parkinson's. Mm-hmm. And I went to see him, and he said, "I'm so sorry." And he was sort of grieving for me. And you're not ready for that. You're not ready for other people's emotions as well as what you take on board yourself. And it's difficult for me as well because my dad had Parkinson's.
Oh, okay. So
died when he was 52. He took his own life.
Oh.
When I was 17. So everything about Parkinson's was negative for me. I spent my childhood watching my dad go downhill, and I wanted to be different. So everything he shut himself away, lost his job, was very depressed, just sat there, not moving, not talking about it, kept it to himself, and eventually took his own life, which is terrible for us as a family. So I've decided to talk about it, go public, be upbeat about it if I can, but at the same time highlight the downside of it.
So let's unpack this a little bit. Let's start with there's a lot there. The decision to go public. So when were you diagnosed?
I was diagnosed in it was 10:47 on Tuesday, the 25th of January. I'll never forget it because I noticed a pain in my shoulder, usual thing that you get. My writing was getting smaller. My hand was slow. And I went to physio saying, I think I've injured myself playing soccer. And he said, I think it's neurological. Have you thought about Parkinson's? I've thought about Parkinson's a lot over the years, but I didn't realise there's any hereditary nature to it. And they reckon about 10% of Parkinson's, there's some genetic connection. So I went to I couldn't wait. The NHS waiting list was 4 months to see a specialist. So I paid for a private consultation. And the guy I saw, I won't say his name, but he had a bit of a God complex, Mm-hmm. And he asked me if I had a big mortgage, how many kids I had, what I did for a living, and then told me I had Parkinson's, handed me a tub of levodopa and told me to get on with it. Ridiculous.
Oh,
yeah,
that's horrible.
Terrible. And if that wasn't enough, he said I'd probably have to quit my job in 2 or 3 years.
Oh.
So it was frightening, really frightening.
So did you fire him?
I fired him. Yeah, I never saw him again.
Yeah, I mean, but that's a decision. But a lot of people wouldn't have the guts to do that because he's the doctor.
Yeah, but this God complex that some specialists have, they don't realise the impact they're having on a person when he didn't know my background, didn't know my dad had it or anything. So just frightening. They can be so ruthless and just tell you like that. The guy I see now is a guy called Nick Wood at University College London, Queen Square, which is the centre of excellence for Parkinson's pretty much in the world. And he's a brilliant guy and just fantastic and a complete contrast to what I initially had.
Well, I think that's important for people to understand is that, you don't have to just suffer with the doctor you have. You are empowered to make these decisions for yourself. It's your healthcare team. It's not their healthcare team.
Yeah, that's it. You've got to build your team up around you. I mean, I did acupuncture this morning. I have a lady that just lives up the road from me who does acupuncture. It takes away a lot of the pain. I find it really good. I do Pilates every week. I've got a guy I do boxing exercises with. Fantastic. He was a boxing trainer, and the boxing gym's just down the road. Brilliant people. And it's like your care team. So you've got to get them right. People you get on with, people you can talk to. And I've got the doctor, my wife as well, who I say I'm a case study, and she won't let me sit around. Nagging wife is a great thing to have, actually. She doesn't let me sit around feeling sorry for myself. If I've got a day off, I've got a list of jobs, I've got to get out and do stuff, I've got to keep socialising. Because the thing with Parkinson's is the apathy can creep in if you're not careful. You stop socialising, you start feeling worthless, lose self-confidence, you're frightened about crowds, you stay in. And it's a downward slope. I saw that with my dad. And so you've got to keep socialising.
All right, so you were diagnosed in which year?
2011. January 2011. So 9 years in January, yeah.
Wow. And so then it was 2.5 years until you came public. Before, between the time you were like, I got to go public, and the time you went public, what was that feeling like?
It was, I put it on the back burner. I knew I'd have to do it one day. I was in denial. So it took me a while for it to sink in that I actually got Parkinson's. So I just tried to ignore it for a while. And it was taking its toll. With Parkinson's, you only get so many spoonfuls of energy a day. And I was putting all my energy into work and not enough into the other things in life. So I was tired. I work Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, get home on a Sunday and be absolutely exhausted. And it was taking its toll. It could have cost me a marriage. It was ridiculous because I was putting everything into work. And you only get so many tablespoons of energy a day. So you've got to share them out. And now I've cut back my workload and, not so work focused.
How has your work responded? Have they been supportive?
They've been pretty good. Yeah, I'm a contractor, so the next contract's not going to come. But nearly 9 years, I'm still working in broadcasting, still presenting live sport on television, and I'll know when the time's right to finally quit. But I'll carry on working. I'll do something else. Haven't worked out what yet, but I will carry on.
Well, good. You should. With your dad, did you know he had Parkinson's when you were a kid?
Well, it's really weird because I've been very open about my Parkinson's. My kids know, I can be a bit grumpy. I take 3 times to get out of the chair. They know I've got Parkinson's and they know what it means. I've spoken to them openly and honestly about it. My parents never had that conversation with me. And I was off school ill one day and I saw a program about Parkinson's. And I thought, my dad's got all those symptoms. And I said to my mum and my brother, I think Dad's got Parkinson's. And they said, yes, he has. And that was the end of the conversation. No, it was a long time ago. People thought differently then. I was 11 years old or 10 years old. And we never talked about it. And it was sad. My mum never went to his appointments with him. My wife comes to every appointment with me, very supportive. And I talk to the kids about it all the time. So they're very aware of it. It's just different times,
Yeah, and so how did that affect your childhood? Like, did you feel like you had a dad?
Yeah, I mean, I was quite sporty when I was growing up, and I used to be quite embarrassed about him coming and watching me because he was sort of hunched and he was desperate to come and watch me play sport, but I didn't like him being there. And I feel guilty about that now, that I never let him watch me play sport because I was embarrassed of my dad. But my kids know I'm turning up. I'm with them the whole time. Very hands-on dad. Football and rugby this weekend. There's no way they're getting me off the touchline, whatever they say. So they're proud of the dad, proud of what he's achieved. So just different times. It was very strange the way I reacted back when I was a teenager. Really, really, really difficult for my dad. But I never thought about it. I feel bad about it now.
And then was it the Parkinson's that led him to suicide?
Yeah, well, depression. I mentioned that apathy, stopped socialising, feeling worthless, lost his job, lost his driving licence. and is sort of he was bent double with the Parkinson's, really struggling, didn't do any exercise, and just eventually took his own life when I was 17, which was a really, really terrible time for the family, you know.
So what are you doing to make sure that history doesn't repeat itself?
I'm staying upbeat, living in the moment, camel at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
just doing everything I want to do. I do a lot of traveling with the family. Just staying positive and keeping busy and socializing is massively important. You can't cut yourself off. I won't deny I have the odd sofa day now and again when I'm feeling sorry for myself. You know, the weather might not be very nice, and I've got a day off work, and my wife's at work, kids are at school, and they're the danger times when you can just sit there and feel sorry for yourself. You can't let that creep in. You've got to keep doing stuff, keep busy, keep meeting your friends. Talking about it is important. My dad never talked to anybody about it, so it was a really sad story. So I'm just trying to do everything he didn't do. He was the blueprint of what not to do. I'm hopefully the blueprint of what to do.
Great. Do you battle depression as well?
No, I sometimes feel a bit down, but not depressed. I'm a very positive person, and depression can get hold of you. You know, it can just creep up on you, but it hasn't me. I'm not saying it won't in the future, but no, I'm not depressed.
Have you been genetically tested to make sure that it's a genetic connection?
Yeah, I've had my entire genome sequenced. So I was part of this 100,000 project, which the NHS are running, and I volunteered to be part of it. And they've gone through my entire genome, and so far they haven't found anything that relates to Parkinson's, so no LRRK2 or anything like that. So it could be environmental, something I've been exposed to when I was a kid. They don't know. But at the moment, no genetic connection with Parkinson's, which is a bit of a relief, but there might be something else in there that they haven't discovered yet. So I'm all into volunteering to being prodded. I've been poked and prodded by some of the leading experts in Britain on Parkinson's. So I think that's part of it. I also mentor quite a few people. A lot of people get in touch with me, and it's important that you're further down the line than people, that you share your experiences. And, if anyone message me on Facebook or Twitter or whatever, I always respond and give them any tips I can on how to stay positive, how to deal with it, and how to lead a good life with Parkinson's, which is very possible to do.
Yeah, I had my full genome sequenced as well. I have 180,000 abnormalities, but none of them are Parkinson's.
Oh, just 180,000, Larry. That's not bad, is it?
Yeah, so I always thought I was a little odd. Now I know why.
Now you know you really are, Roger. You got proof as well. Brilliant.
Have you noticed your voice changing?
I'm lucky that I've got quite a powerful voice anyway, but it is slightly lighter than it was. And occasionally when my meds are low, I do slur my words. So I've got to be very careful about getting my pronunciation right. So I've thought about LSVT, voice therapy, down the line. Mm-hmm. But what I do before I go on air, I always chew chewing gum to loosen up the jaw, do facial exercises as well. And I do voice exercises as well. I sing a bit to get my voice warmed up for when I'm on air. So just go through the scales and stuff. And it's important that you keep exercising your voice and your throat, because your throat can obviously cause you problems down the line with Parkinson's. So it's important to do exercises and take my meds on time. That's a massive thing. So before I go on air, I make sure an hour before I take my meds, loads of water with the meds so they work well. And sometimes when I'm on air, I'll put my hand down the side of the seat if I'm sitting down, or hold a pen, which stops my shaking. So I've got all these coping strategies that I use when I'm on air, so I don't put the viewer off. But sometimes it's not easy, when you're on live television with Parkinson's and it's you're having a bad day. It can be really hard.
Yeah, I know that I'm not on air a lot, but I need to record the podcast usually in the morning, because by the afternoon I've spoken so much that it's getting whispery or soft, or it's just not, I just don't have this full range of my vocal abilities.
This is why it's important to do vocal exercises to keep it going. And I find when I'm on in the evening, I have to rest. I do exercise first thing in the morning, and then I'm lucky enough that I can rest for a lot of the day before I go on air, learn my lines and stuff, because I don't have auto-cue. It's all off the top of my head. And the memory, Parkinson's meant the memory's not as good as it once was. So I used to be able to just look at a sheet of A4 and pretty much memorise it within half an hour. So I knew every word on it.
Wow.
Now I can't do that. I do it in chunks. So I chunk memorise,
Okay.
which helps me when I'm on air. So, and also, because I've done it for so long, I'm very knowledgeable about my subject. So, when I do the darts on Sky, I know everything about every dart player. It's just embedded in there. So that's pretty good. I've been doing it for 21 years on live television. So I sort of know what I'm doing now, just about.
So you brought up the vocal exercises. You going to sing for us to give us an example of what we should be doing?
La 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 la.
That's great. I love it. I
do that and make sure my jaw moves a lot. So, move my jaw side to side and do lots of speaking before I'm on air. So just loosens up. Like you loosen up your body in the morning when you do your stretches. You should do your stretches in the morning for Parkinson's. Same with your voice. You need to exercise your voice so you're not slurring your words. And just, I say chewing gum is brilliant because it just exercises your jaw.
How old are your kids?
I've got 2 boys, 16 and 13, Harry and George. So they're a handful, but they're great fun. They're really good kids and great mates now. Fantastic. Harry's got a couple of years before he goes to university. I don't know what I'll do when he flees the nest eventually. But
Do they talk to their friends about it?
Yeah, I'm very open about it, So I tell the friends I've got Parkinson's because you can look a bit scary, I'm a 6'4" guy, and if I'm a bit off, my face can look a bit mean. You walk with I call it my fight face when I'm off, and it can look a bit scary for a kid. So I tell them about it, and it's important that you spread the word and spread the message. I was in New York a while ago, and a guy said, I was off and walking through into the hotel lobby, and he said, "Good luck finding your way home." I said, "What do you mean by that?" He said, "You're drunk." And ridiculous. I said, "I've got Parkinson's." Mad, People say that to you, and it's frightening how ignorant people can be at times.
Yeah, does that happen with the viewers who aren't aware that you have Parkinson's?
Well, everybody knows now because I've made a big deal about it. So I get so much support. It's incredible. Lots of people say about me, and you get the odd one, but you've got to develop rhino hide when you've got Parkinson's.
Yeah, you do.
You can't let it get to you.
Yeah, I use walking poles a lot because my gait is my biggest issue. I was on the bus not too long ago, or the SkyTrain here in Vancouver, and a guy looks at me, he gave me this look. He's like, "What, are you going skiing?" I'm like, "Well, it's the middle of summer." So no, I've got Parkinson's. And he goes, "Oh, dude, I know how you feel. I've got asthma." I'm like, okay, asthma?
Not the quite scale.
Not quite the same scale, but all right, I'll trade you.
Well, that's interesting actually, because if you have I had a knee operation recently. I had partial knee replacement, and I had a stick for a while, and it's amazing how people, when you've got a stick, it's sort of a signpost. Yeah. That you need a bit of help, and people help you. But if you haven't got sticks or any visible sign that something's wrong, people just automatically think you're drunk or on drugs or something. Well, yeah, because
I use transit all the time, and so if I'm using public transit and I don't have my sticks, I don't get a seat, and if I don't get a seat, I'm going to stumble over.
Parkinson's UK do quite a nice little badge which says something like "Sorry for being slow, I've got Parkinson's." I've used that when I've gone through airports, and people are fantastic.
Oh, that's great.
When you got a badge on, great. But I'm sort of quite proud as well. No one's ever offered me a seat on the tube in London. I'm quite proud of that, so I'll keep that as long as possible. And I don't use the assisted travel at airports. I always go through by myself, and I feel it's stupid, but I feel a bit like it's giving in using that. it's a stupid attitude, because you should ask for help on occasions, but I don't like to do it. I'm just stubborn, a stubborn Yorkshireman who wants to do it by myself. And it's been at my cost at times. I've been really struggling,
right,
trying to go through airport security. But I've got off to a fine art now. I don't wear belts. I have trousers that slip on and off with elasticated waist when I'm travelling. I put all my stuff in the not carry on, so I hardly have any luggage, just my passport. So I'm stripped down so I can get through security quite easily. But it's taken a while.
Yeah, well, you have to travel a lot to realize what you need to do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I'm traveling a lot more now than I ever have for my job and for Parkinson's events, and I'm traveling I think I've got trips the next 7 weeks every week.
Yeah.
What's your trick for going through time zones and with your medication and just preserving your energy? Because I find at the end of a trip I'm just wiped.
Yeah, I think you've got to listen to your body. When you travel through a time zone, you've got to just take the meds when your body needs the meds. Take sleep when you need sleep. There's no secret to it. I haven't got any magic formula for doing it.
Oh, damn it! I thought you would.
No, ridiculous. I know. I think just listen to your body. That's the thing. When your body's tired, have a rest, have a sleep. If you can, if you're lucky enough to do that. But I mean, I've travelled right around the world with Parkinson's, and I've travelled a lot with the family. So we went to Costa Rica a while ago. Went to Vancouver Island. Went up the Campbell River and watched the bears catching salmon. I've never done that without Parkinson's. I'm a tight Yorkshireman. I don't like spending my money, but my rainy days come, so I'm not saving up for a rainy day anymore. I do what I want to do.
Good.
And I love my music as well, so I've travelled around the world following Bruce Springsteen.
Wow.
So I went to Cape Town, I went to Perth in Australia, and there's a girl called Anne-Marie Booth I was mentoring, just giving her a few tips, and she came up in the Bruce lottery for the show on Broadway, so we both went to New York and watched that show, so fantastic. I'd never have done that without Parkinson's, so, it has its benefits. Seize the day.
It does.
Enjoy
It sort of makes you live life a little bit more with more gusto.
Yeah, definitely. I don't look too far into the future, because the future's, it's a one-way street, isn't it, Parkinson's? You, as it stands, you're not going to get better. I don't think they'll find a cure in my lifetime, but what I'd love is a wonder pill that just stops it in its tracks.
Yeah.
Because how I'm at the moment, I can look after myself, I can walk and talk and have a good life. And if I could have a magic pill that would just stop it now in its tracks, that would be the dream ticket. Not a cure, just something where we can get early diagnosis for people and a pill that just stops in its tracks. That would be absolutely perfect for me.
Yeah, me too. I would take that in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
How's this affected your marriage?
I think I've got a good marriage, but I must admit I'm a bit grumpier than I used to be. It's really weird. My temper is shorter than it was. I have to think sometimes before I open my mouth, because I can upset people by saying the first thing that comes into my head, which is a really weird feeling, isn't it?
It is.
I've talked to a lot of people with Parkinson's like this, and you can go off the handle quickly. So you've really got to be careful. I was driving the other day, and I can still drive quite well. I've got an automatic car that I drive around London. My wife does most of the driving now because she doesn't trust me with the kids in the car.
Yeah.
But I feel like I'm a good driver. But a guy cut me up, and I had to stop myself from jumping out of the car and shouting at him. It was ridiculous. I'd never do that. I'm so placid normally. And I wanted to go. I nearly got in a fight. I would have if I just had to count to 5, sit there and go, "What are you doing? Ridiculous. Just calm down. Stupid." And I also feel I'm an anxious passenger in a car, so I sort of put the brakes on, imaginary brakes when my wife's driving and stuff. It's stupid. And if she gets too close to the car in front, I get really anxious. And I was never like that before I had Parkinson's. I don't know what that's about.
Oh, I don't either.
Strange things happen to me.
I was talking to David Sangster about that the other day. We both have that thing where our wives are like, "What's wrong with you?" I'm like, "I don't know, but I'm freaking out. I feel like I'm about to become carnage."
Well, I mentioned I was in New York a while ago, and we got a yellow cab from the airport into town. And he was so close to the car in front. I was sweating. I was getting paranoid. It was ridiculous. I thought it was going to crash every turn. It was mad.
I've never had that before.
What's Parkinson's doing to you that makes you an anxious passenger in a car? It's ridiculous.
Well, no, you don't tell you about that when they list the symptoms.
Well, they said there's 40 things that affect you with Parkinson's. That should be 41.
Oh man! So your wife's handling it okay? I mean, is she picking up more of the household duties and like taking care of you now? And like, do you guys talk about it a lot, or is it just not something you discuss?
We discuss it, yeah. But because I'm around a lot, I don't work as much as I used to. So I said I was on the road for 123 days, staying in hotels one year, and it's ridiculous. Now I work for about half the year. So it's feast or famine. I'm away for a week after next, and then I'm off for a couple of weeks, and then working away for 9 days after that. So it did in chunks, but I do the majority of the cooking and stuff at home. I make sure that I do that for the boys. So it can be hard. It can take me a long time to do, but I'm determined to carry on doing everything I possibly can. So I do a lot of the household duties now, and I quite enjoy that. But I'm not as good as she is at doing it, but I'm learning quickly.
Do you still have your sense of smell?
No, that's partially gone as well. I occasionally get the odd whiff of something, but my sense of smell has gone. Which I've got a dog now, which is great when I'm cleaning up the dog poo. I've got that job when it's in the garden. I'm the man who does it because I can't smell it, so it's perfect.
Yes,
that was a good thing actually. I got a dog a year ago, and it's amazing what a difference that's made to my life. Ruby, a Labrador, and she's with me all the time. And amazing people. I take her for a walk in the morning, get up early, make sure I get up every day, have a shave, make the bed, get up with the boys. Get them ready for school, chat to them over breakfast. I think that's important. I'm there for that. Then I take the dog out, and it's amazing how many people you get talking to with the dog. Keeps your social life going. I've got a common at the end of the road here, and everyone talks to you. You talk about Parkinson's. I met another couple of people with Parkinson's and dogs, and it's brilliant for you. So Ruby's been my saviour in many ways. She gets me out, gets me talking to people, and it's a great thing having a dog. So get yourself a dog and a nagging wife, and you'll be all right.
Well, so my wife is very, very attentive to me, and she makes sure that I'm not, lazing around in the chair. If it's time to get up, she'll roust me. She'll go, okay, you can have 20 minutes or whatever. I don't. I've learned not to call it nagging. It's
yeah, I don't know. I've done it. Just supporting is
yes, it's very supportive. But
it gives you the odd job to do.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not nagging. It's not nagging, Carolyn. It's just supporting. Yeah.
But we did try to get a puppy. Don't get a puppy. Don't get a small puppy when you have balance issues. The puppy was running around my legs. I was tripping all over it. I thought I was going to fall. It was like being in the passenger of a car, but it was in your house all the time. I was just panicked. So we had to get rid of the puppy after about a week. But we are looking for a sort of an older, bigger dog that we can have around the house. And
I can recommend a big Labrador.
Big Lab. Okay, well that's good.
Big Labrador, yeah, gentle, friendly.
Yeah, perfect.
And lovely to have around. You don't trip over them too much either.
Right.
So
well,
they're all right. Perfect.
Yeah, that was a mistake that we. That unfortunately, I had to use my veto power and kick the dog out of the house.
Well, I've made a few mistakes with Parkinson's because I've been not ticking off a bucket list, but I've been doing things I wanted to do, and I always wanted a VW camper van. So I went on eBay and bought this VW camper van that was supposedly restored, but I got it and it needed thousands of pounds spending on it. And I bought a left-hand drive one, so I had to operate the gears with my right hand. My right hand's the bad side, so I kept it for 8 months. We travelled around Europe, and I couldn't change gear anymore on it, so I had to sell it. It was heartbreaking. I spent a fortune getting power steering on it, everything. But my 1977 camper van I sold to the guy up the road, so I still get to hug it now and again and stroke it because it lives on the next road. And they say we can borrow it back whenever I want, but my boys have got a bit big for it now. But it was a lovely moment driving around Europe in this 77 camper van. Yeah, fantastic.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I've never done that without Parkinson's, Wind in my hair, brilliant.
That's great. Do you have a list that you keep, or is it just in your head?
No, just there's all sorts in my head, but I just do what I want to do. We went to New York this summer, stayed at Brooklyn Bridge Hotel, had a lovely time there. Went to the Hamptons, had a great time. I'm lucky that financially I've done quite well over the years, but finance does worry me when the gravy train eventually runs out and I have to do something else. All these fears, and I think you do get more anxious about things when you've got Parkinson's, so you worry a bit more about what's down the line. But I try and live in the moment, and just live day to day and enjoy my life. And I think it's a great thing. Always have music on in the house as well. Stops you brooding, upbeat, loads of music everywhere I go. So have my headphones with me. So just keeping a positive vibe. It's important.
How's your sleep?
My sleep's not too bad. I do quite a lot of exercise, which helps, but I wake up once or twice during the night, but I stay in bed. I don't get up and walk around. It's difficult. Sometimes you're like a vampire, you can't roll over, so you're lying on your back with your arms crossed across your chest, and you try and roll over, and you don't want to wake your partner. Mm-hmm. It's quite frightening, but and then when you roll over, you start shaking for some reason, which is ridiculous as well. So the covers are off you. You're trying to roll over. You don't want to wake your wife up. So sometimes you just lie there in the middle of the night like a vampire, just hands across the chest, trying to roll over and not being able to roll over. It's a ridiculous situation, but only someone with Parkinson's would know that. It's crazy.
Yeah. Are you acting out your dreams at all?
No, I'm not. Luckily, because I have some weird dreams, but I don't act them out.
Yeah,
I've had some really strange ones recently.
Parkinson's dreams are vivid and often violent.
Mine aren't violent.
Oh, good.
No, I tend to meet my heroes in my dreams.
Oh, cool.
I have fantastic dreams.
Like
and
who?
I fly a lot in my dreams. It's brilliant.
Oh, I love flying in my dreams.
Yeah, flying dreams are the best. Absolutely amazing. I've flown over some of the greatest countryside in the world in my dreams. It's brilliant. Like Superman.
That's amazing. So who's your hero that you met in your dreams?
Well, I've met all sorts of people. I met Kim Basinger.
Okay.
Yeah, I met Bruce Springsteen.
Oh, what did he say?
Well, I actually met Bruce Springsteen in when I was in New York, which was fantastic.
Oh, wow.
I was waiting outside
dream come true.
The entrance to the theatre. And he came out and said, his security guy said, whatever you do, don't shout Bruce in his face because he hates that. So I didn't know what to say to him. So I was absolutely in awe of him. So I said, Bruce, thanks for all the work you do for the Light of Day Foundation, which is a Parkinson's charity that he does the odd gig for. And he said, it's a great organisation. Where have you travelled from? I said, England. And he said to another girl, where have you travelled from? She said, Melbourne. He said, enjoy the show. So it was a dream come true meeting Bruce. And that wasn't a dream. At least I don't think it was a dream.
Yeah.
It was a very vivid one if it was.
That's great. Oh, that's amazing. Did you ever meet Muhammad Ali?
I did, yeah. I covered the 96 Olympics.
So as a journalist covering him, seeing him light the flame, that iconic moment, and knowing that he has Parkinson's and the battle that he was going through, and then thinking about your dad, how do you juxtapose those?
It was hard when I saw him, because no one knew Muhammad Ali was going to light the flame that night. So seeing him in the stadium, it brought memories back of my dad. And I never thought down the road, a few years later I'd be diagnosed. It was a really emotional night that night when I saw him running around the track. His Parkinson's was really bad, and the flame was shaking, and I was worried whether he'd be able to light it. It was a lot of pressure on him, but an incredible man. And he's done so much for awareness of Parkinson's. You look at some of the old films of his career. There's a great documentary on Sky at the moment about his career. And if you know Parkinson's, you can see he was fighting with Parkinson's back in the day. It's very clear that he's got Parkinson's, and he's fighting for a world title.
His last couple fights, especially, you can see it. And people thought it was brain damage.
Really knew he had it.
People thought it was brain damage. I talked to his daughter. She told me they did studies and that it wasn't because of the boxing.
Well, there is a thing called pugilistic Parkinson's, and I worked in boxing for 8 years, and it's amazing how many ex-fighters have Parkinson's or the symptoms of Parkinson's. Freddie Roach, the trainer he has Parkinson's.
Right.
Has trained 50 world champions. Amazing guy, still working, still doing the raps. And he's 20 years down the line with Parkinson's. He's an incredible guy. And he comes over here quite a lot. I've never met him, actually. It's one of my ambitions to meet him. But he's a fantastic advert for Parkinson's, because he's carried on going, carries on doing the pads with the fighters and stuff, even though he's obviously really bad with his Parkinson's. But there's a documentary called Being Freddie Roach, which is worth watching. Amazing guy, still training world champions many years down the line with Parkinson's. So that's a hero of mine.
What do you think Muhammad Ali's legacy with Parkinson's is?
I think awareness. It's important that we get the message out there that what Parkinson's is, and I think people have raised millions of dollars on the back of Muhammad Ali for Parkinson's research. There's that great bit of footage with Michael J. Fox and Muhammad Ali, an advert back in the day, which I've watched on YouTube, and it's just raised the whole profile of Parkinson's. It's important for people to know what it is, know how to react when they meet someone with Parkinson's. And I think that's his legacy, and hopefully his legacy as well will be finding something towards a cure one day. You're quite new to Parkinson's. How long have you been diagnosed? A year or something?
2 years, yeah, 2 years.
2 years. Now, I'm sort of nearly 9 years down the line now, and it's quite hard when you meet people who you met a few years ago and see them and see they've deteriorated. Mm-hmm. I won't say it was, but I met a guy at the airport a few weeks ago, and he was fighting fit last time I saw him, and his voice had pretty much gone. He was still in good shape, still travelling by himself, but it's hard when you see people who you're sort of on the same path as them, and it's really tough when friends from the Parkinson's community are going downhill after 9, 10, 11 years, and not the same person you met two years previously.
Right.
It's a really it's why we've got to sort this thing out. The UK government's just put £130 million into research on Parkinson's and certain types of cancer, which is great news. But that's the first money they've ever put into research in this country for
Amazing.
Parkinson's. So I've raised over £500,000 now for Parkinson's.
Yeah, I read that. It was £500,000. That's unbelievable. Yeah. How did you do that?
It's crazy. I thought I'd do I did a coast-to-coast walk. So I went from right across England, from St Bees on the Cumbrian coast to Robin Hood's Bay on the Yorkshire coast. And I used to see people when I was a kid throwing pebbles into the sea at Robin Hood's Bay, which is a beautiful cliffside holiday destination. Beautiful little cottages dating back to 1400s, amazing. And I used to go there with my dad when I was a kid, so it had great significance for me. So I thought one day I'm going to do that walk. So I did it, 200 miles coast to coast. And it just generated so much interest, and people following me day by day. It took me 13 days. And I ended up raising £212,000 for that walk alone, which was amazing.
Wow.
I did the Dales Way last year, raised another 50,000. So I'm thinking of doing something next year, a big one next year.
Some of your dart friends did some fundraising too, right?
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, some of the sponsors of the tournaments have given me money. I did a tournament the other week, and every 180 that was scored in the tournament, they gave £50, and we ended up with £32,000 for a week's work. Fantastic.
Amazing.
Went straight to Parkinson's UK. So amazing. I'm hosting a few dinners and stuff. I've got one on Thursday night, actually, at Battersea Power Station here in London. And I know for a fact that's already raised £25,000. So if you can do your bit, use your contacts and raise a few pounds, it's a great thing. I've been very lucky. People have been really supportive. And Sky, who I do the darts for, fund matched one of my things, so they gave me £50,000 for that, which is incredible, absolutely incredible. The support is amazing.
It really, it's people ask me that, because I do a lot of advocacy and I do a lot of speaking and I'm on TV and stuff. People are like, but you have that opportunity. I'm like, yeah, this is what I have access to. This is what I know, and like you can leverage some of that stuff. And don't be people shouldn't be afraid to tap into their networks. I mean, that's why we have networks. That's why you network. So when you need it, you can go, hey, can you help? Because we're
also connecting people. There's a Parkinson's football team recently.
Yeah.
And that all came about because there's a guy called Sam who came on my coast-to-coast walk, seen online that I was doing this walk, and he just turned up one morning and said, "Do you mind? I've just been diagnosed with Parkinson's. Do you mind if I talk to you and do a leg of your walk?" And he read about this Ray Kennedy Cup, and I connected him with a guy called Charlie Appleyard, who's a mate of mine, who actually lived on my road. This was a strange story. A guy who I became friends with lived on my road. He was 39 years of age, and I said to my wife, "He's got all the symptoms of Parkinson's." And what do? Do you tell him?
No.
Or see a neurologist? I couldn't say anything to him. And he 2 years down the line, he took me to one side, went for a pint with him and said, "I've just been told I've got Parkinson's." Really strange situation. He's become a really good guy for the cause. And he took this team of footballers to the Ray Kennedy Cup in Copenhagen, and they reached the semi-finals. It was amazing. But that all came about because of a guy walking on my coast-to-coast walk.
That's great.
Connecting with someone else and using the network, and it turned out a real force for good. It was fantastic.
Did you tell the guy that was diagnosed that I knew 2 years ago?
I did, yeah.
What did he say?
He just said, "I can't believe it. Ridiculous." I said, "You're telling me something I already knew." When you've had Parkinson's, you can spot a parkie at 100 yards. The arm doesn't swing, slightly stooped. Don't blink when they look at you. Lots of things like that. But it could be something else, of course. It could have been a whole load of things.
Sure.
Might have got a brain tumor or something else. So I didn't want to say to him, I'm an expert in Parkinson's only because I've got it, and I've seen what's happened to other people over the years. But I didn't want to diagnose him. But I was pleased when he got the diagnosis, and I was there to support him. It was amazing. And a guy called Martin Turner, who was the head of Formula One at Sky TV, he was diagnosed as well, and he went public straight away. It was amazing. He was diagnosed 3 weeks before. They had a big barbecue at his house, made a speech telling all these people, his team, they had Parkinson's. Not the way I would have done it, but it worked for him. It's different. It's horses for courses. I kept a secret for 2.5 years. He went public straight away. There's no right or wrong way. It's however you want to do it. But I thought it was very brave the way he did it.
Yeah, for sure.
It might be quite a good one, actually. When quite a good podcast, actually. When's the right time to go public about it? And how do you tell your employers and stuff?
Yeah, it's hard.
A tough one.
It's hard. For me, I actually combined those two things. I told my employer that I wanted to use their radio and TV and website to tell the world that I had Parkinson's on World Parkinson's Awareness Day.
Amazing.
And so a lot of my colleagues found out when the rest of the world found out.
Well, I told a few people, and people can't keep a secret.
Oh, yeah.
So you tell one or two people, and they'll say, to someone else, don't say anything, but he's just told me he's got Parkinson's. And then they say to someone else. So you either tell your wife, but if you tell one person, you probably tell 100 people. It's
right.
People can't keep a secret. It's mad.
Hey, listen, I've taken up way more time than I deserve.
No, it's been great talking to you, Larry. Really, really appreciate it. Fantastic.
Oh, yeah. All right. Well, I'll let you go be a dad.
All right.
All right. Take care. Thank you.
Cheers, Larry. See you. Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye, man.
Some months after our conversation, I got a note from Dave. He said, "Hey, Larry, wrote this for a guy who's just been diagnosed. Thought you might like it. Best, Dave." And here's what it says. How to live a happy life with Parkinson's. Live in the now. Try not to look too far into the future. Always have something in the diary that excites you. Music makes you happy? Don't live in a silent house where you can brood. Dance, even if you haven't danced for years. Keep busy, but don't feel guilty about having an odd sofa day. Stay sociable. If your friends don't ring you, ring them and arrange to see them on a regular basis. Get up, dress up, show up, never give up. Say yes to invitations, even if you're feeling rubbish. Exercise makes you feel good. Even if you can only manage to get to the corner shop, do it. Stretch every morning. Eat well. Try not to skip meals when you're shaky. Food is brain fuel. Hydrate. Water makes up about 73% of the human brain and helps make hormones and neurotransmitters. Talk to other people with Parkinson's online. It's really supportive community. Their experience can help your experience. Build a support team around you. People you can trust. Friends, neighbors, fitness instructor, your neuro doctor, your chemist, your team. Only tell people about your Parkinson's when you're ready. Other people's grief about your Parkinson's can be just as hard as getting a diagnosis. Remember, people with Parkinson's can do amazing things. Do something amazing. And those are words to live by from Dave Clark, a keeper of hope, a difference maker, a believer. Be inspired. This is When Life Gives You Parkinson's, a Curious Cast podcast written and produced by me, Larry Gifford. Our story editor is Dila Velazquez, and our sound design by Rob Johnson. We also want to hear from you. You can record a voice message for us at speakpipe.com/When Life Gives You Parkinson's. Our presenting sponsor is Parkinson Canada, parkinson.ca. One of the programs Parkinson Canada offers is a confidential information and referral line, so if you have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to reach out to info@parkinson.ca or call toll-free 1-800-565-3000. Parkinson Canada colleagues are there for you. They're great listeners and can answer questions on a huge range of topics. Special thanks this week to Dave Clark. Also, hello to our promotional partners, Spotlight YOPD and Parkinson's IQ Plus U. Spotlight YOPD is the only organization in the world with the singular focus of raising awareness of young-onset Parkinson's disease. You can find them at spotlightyopd.org. And in the U.S., Parkinson's IQ Plus U is a free series of Parkinson's events from the Michael J. Fox Foundation to educate and empower people with Parkinson's and their partners. While some of these events have been postponed due to COVID-19, you can go to michaeljfox.org/PDIQ to watch for rescheduled dates. And finally, if you're interested in learning more about Parkinson's and connecting with the community, I encourage you to save the date for the 6th World Parkinson Congress, also known as the WPC 2022. It'll be held June 7th to 10th in Barcelona, Spain, 2022. It's the only totally inclusive scientific conference that opens its doors to people with Parkinson's and their families. I'll be there. You should come join me. Learn more at WPC2022.org. And thank you for listening. These are weird times, and I appreciate you still downloading and listening to the podcast and sharing it with your friends. Please take a moment to subscribe if you haven't, on Apple, Spotify, CastBox, wherever you listen to podcasts. While you're there, give the show a 5-star rating and tell people why you like it. You can also engage with us on social media. It's at Parkinson's Pod on Facebook. We also have a special group there. Twitter and Instagram at Parkinson's Pod, or email us parkinsonspod@curiouscast.ca. And happy Parkinson's Awareness Month. Keep positive, keep exercising, keep listening. We'll talk to you next time.
Canada may be known for its landscapes and friendly people, but beneath the surface lies a darker side of crime, history, and the paranormal. Since 2017, the award-winning Dark Poutine podcast has explored the shadowy corners of the Great White North and beyond, delivering chilling tales from a uniquely Canadian perspective. Hosted by Mike Brown and Matthew Stockton with over 300 episodes and fresh releases every Monday, Dark Poutine is your weekly ticket to the creepier side of Canada. Listen to Dark Poutine on Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music, or wherever you get your podcasts.